Welcome to a very special Richard Grand competition. This is the 20th anniversary of the Richard Grand Legal Writing Competition. It's also the first award ceremony that we've held online. So having this ceremony in person last year was probably one of the last big things that at least our writing department did before we went virtual. We were planning a big conference that got canceled with COVID. And I'll admit I've had a little trepidation about how this will work online. So I just ask you all to sort of bear with us as we try to make this a friendly, welcoming event, which is what the final ceremony always is. It's one of my favorite events of the year as we get together, as we share a meal and really celebrate the amazing writing we have among our law students, the amazing experiences that they've had, some hard, some wonderful, some challenging, and just really spend time together. So I hope we can replicate this, albeit in a slightly different format. I'm sorry, every time I get on Zoom, I feel like I get a frog in my throat. This is sort of the perpetual Zoom problem. We're so grateful that you can all be here. The dean, I see all of our finalists, I see a lot of faculty, and based on last names, I'm assuming friends and family. I see Professor Rabe, who was one of the leaders of starting this competition back at the law school and who served as a judge this year. So it's really great to have you all here. I don't see Debbie. I know she's here, but she doesn't have her camera on. And so I want to thank her first for every year she puts on so much work to get this competition going. Oh, she just told me, she just texted me and said she lost her Wi-Fi connection. Well, when you see Debbie, please thank her. She usually orders all the food for this competition. She sends out the numbers. This year, she printed all the entries and hand delivered them to my house, and I think to Professor Salman's house for us to read. So she's just amazing. I don't know what we would do without her. I want to thank Professor Salman, who helps me go through all of the initial entries to pick the top 4. And then thank our judges. Our judges this year, because it was the 20th anniversary, we wanted to bring in some alumni who had judged in past years, and then Professor Rabe, because she was instrumental in starting this competition. So we always have Tim Igo from the Arizona Attorney Magazine. He serves as a judge. Professor Rabe judged this year. And then we had 3 past winners. So we had Joe Austin. Joe won in 2016 and placed 3rd in 2018. I don't think he's on Zoom. We had Jillian Andrews. Jillian won 1st in 2015 and then 3rd in 2016. And then we had Sarah Meadows. Sarah actually placed 2nd in the very first year of the competition. And Sarah now works in the Office of General Counsel at the university. And so she also served as a judge. So it was fun to bring in alumni to help judge the competition. The theme this year for the competition was all about unexpected challenges. And Mr. Grand, over the course of his life, was someone who certainly experienced unexpected challenges. He was born in 1930 in the Free State of Danzig, which was a semi-autonomous city-state between what is now Poland and Germany. And his family was able to leave Danzig in 1939 with other Jewish families before the Nazis invaded Danzig and Poland. And so certainly that was an unexpected challenge in his life. This drew him to a career focused on justice, although he tried other careers, again, unexpected challenges like being a disc jockey, but then finally pursued a career in law. When he graduated from the law school, again, he had challenges in finding the right job fit for him. So he worked in the Pima County Attorney's Office, where, according to his obituary, he lost 14 out of 15 jury trials in 3 months. Again, an unexpected challenge. He left that job, opened his own firm, and eventually became one of the most successful trial attorneys in the country. So we asked our students to write about unexpected challenges that they had experienced and how they had handled and grown from those challenges. And again, knowing our students, we always get some really great entries, and we were certainly not disappointed. But what I think I didn't expect, and I don't know why I didn't expect this, was how raw the entries were this year. More than any other year that I've done this competition, I mean, my heart broke in reading so many of the final entries. And I had commented to Professor Salman, I'd been really busy working in my home office, and I just needed a break. And so I grabbed this stack of entries and I went into my backyard to read them, thinking it would be a break. And in essence, I almost needed a break from reading them because I was so affected by the power of the word. And so I say this also as a warning. I mean, the entries this year deal with difficult subjects of sexual assault, gun violence, kidnapping. So just a forewarning as we read those, that we have some really difficult topics this year. But I also want to share with you one of the things one of the judges said to us. Joe Austin, who's a member of the Navajo Nation, said to me when he sent me his ranking of the final four, he said, if I could, I would tell the writers the mantra of my people. And I'm not going to attempt to read Navajo, so I'm going to just tell you the translation. Harmony will be restored and you will walk in beauty. And I thought that was a lovely thought and so applicable to the things that so many of you wrote about. So now we're going to move into the reading of the final four. I have 4 faculty members who are going to read excerpts of the final 4 entries. But actually, before I get there, I want all the finalists to kind of wave so we can see who you are, or maybe say hi. Because if people have this on, so they're all waving. So we have Susan Feilin. Yes, Susan, do you want to say hi?
Hi, it's an absolute honor and pleasure to be here. Thank you so very much.
All right, thank you, Susan. And Susan is in an LLM program. We have Daniel Bowman. Daniel, do you want to say hi?
Hi, everyone. Yeah, I'm also very honored and feel very lucky to be here. Thanks to you all.
Daniel's a 2L, and he has also had a long day because we just came straight from my class to this event. We have Garrick Nowak. Garrick is a 3L. Garrick, do you want to say hi?
Hi, and I'll echo the same thing that the others have said. I'm really grateful everybody's here. Yeah, I'm already getting emotional. So.
And then we have 1L, Michelle Pennington. Michelle, do you want to say hi?
Hi, thanks for being here, everybody.
All right, so now if you are not on gallery view, hopefully each speaker popped up and you can put a face to a name that would be easier to do in person. So now we'll move into the reading in, I always like to joke and say, it's not in no particular order because we go alphabetically. So we're going to start with Professor Simon reading from Daniel's entry. So Professor Simon.
I think this is harder when you know the student. Don't judge me, Daniel. I'm doing my best. Okay. Thinking back, the most unexpected challenge that I have faced in my life was not actually a distinct event or occurrence, but rather the absence of one. It was a season in my life where I was dejected rather than driven, bored rather than busy, listless rather than lively. It was a season of silence and isolation, and it taught me more about myself than anything I have yet experienced. It was the fall of 2014, a few months after I had completed undergrad. This was the beginning of a season of doubt and insecurity that ultimately proved to be incredibly formative for me. Unexpected is the best adjective to describe that season. In October, just after I was hired as a waiter, my car stopped working. This forced me to commute by bicycle for a year. Then my relationship with the girl whom I planned to marry came to a sudden and painful end. Throughout the fall and into the winter, I continued to search for jobs that were related to my undergraduate field of study, but they continued to elude me. However, the most jarring feature of that season was the unexpected loss of community. The obvious effect of this loss was that I started to spend more time alone. I started to feel like an utter failure. I could not find a job that was even slightly related to my undergraduate degree. I'd been left by my ex-girlfriend. I did not have a car, and my sparse social life seemed pitiful when compared to the hyper extroverted lifestyle that I had previously enjoyed. This sense of failure then started to compound into a feeling of shame. I felt deeply responsible for my failures, and I was ashamed of who I was. Then, in this space of isolation and shame, I discovered why I had always shied away from time alone. Business and extroversion were behavioral mechanisms that I was using to avoid deeper issues. In my isolation, I began to feel real grief for my mother, who had died from cancer 2 years prior. I began to realize that some things which I took great pride in, such as my interpersonal skills, were indicia of arrogance rather than character. I began to recognize patterns of selfishness and laziness in my life, patterns that caused me to hypocritically bemoan societal ills from the comfort of a couch. Ultimately, I began to feel uncertain, perhaps for the first time in my life. I was forced to admit that many of my behavior patterns were self-invented as ways for me to avoid my issues rather than work through them. Thus, I started to ask the question, how do you live life well? That question of how to live well is not one that I have found a complete answer to. But over time, I have identified many routines and rhythms that have helped me to live better. That season in my life is something that I have frequently reflected on throughout the last 6 months as the world has experienced a season of unparalleled difficulty. The realities and challenges of living amidst a global pandemic have forced me, and many others, of course, to experience new levels of discontent, uncertainty, and doubt. I often grapple with interconnected feelings of apathy, shame, and frustration as I try to keep pace with the rigors of law school while simultaneously feeling disconnected from the collegial community. It has been helpful for me to think of that past season when I was also constantly grappling with feelings of doubt, shame, uncertainty, and isolation, and to recognize that there are better days ahead. It is always darkest before the dawn, which is why we must keep our focus on the dawn rather than the darkness.
Next, we have Professor Salman reading from Garrick's piece.
Thank you. And for time purposes, this is just an excerpt, and I hope in excerpting it, I did your work justice, Garrick. I hook my mask behind my ears and grab my swimming gear, hoping that the overcast sky will not burst within the next hour. Although I love swimming in the rain, campus rec would cancel my session at the first sign of a drizzle. But I say, bring on the lightning. It cannot possibly be worse than the metaphorical lightning that has so often struck me, leaving me with complex post-traumatic stress disorder. I take it slowly at first to focus on my form. 3 long kicks per stroke, 4 even strokes per breath, 25 meters at a time. After reestablishing my fundamentals, I begin my swimming mantra. Calm, focus, breathe. Boom! Out of nowhere, a faceless shadow reeking of cinnamon whiskey lurches out of the darkness, grabs me, and presses a gun to my head. My lungs empty in a piercing scream, proving I can scream when my life's at stake, but no help comes. Within a few swift moments, I am swept to the floor, hogtied, blindfolded, and gagged. Having been a victim of sexual violence in the past, I steel myself for the inevitable violation. Thankfully, it never comes. I try drowning the flashback. Calm, focus, breathe. But my trauma brain has other plans. Somehow I survived the night, only to be greeted in the morning by cold coils of wire wrapping around my neck and the ripping of duct tape binding my arms to my sides and a beeping bomb to my chest and back. He zips my coat over the device and I suddenly realize my life is explosively expendable. He stuffs me onto the floor of my tiny hatchback, yanking me out an eternity later to order me into the bank to demand money for him. "Don't call the cops," he growls, removing my blindfold and holding what appears to be a small remote, "or I'll effing blow you to pieces." I enter the bank screaming for a familiar face. All color drains from the teller manager, another girl only a few months older than my own 23 years, as she recognizes the gravity of the situation. Violating unequivocal company policy to comply with bomb threats, she and the other teller lock me in the break room, quarantine themselves on the far side of the bank, and call the police. I collapse on the floor, thinking I only have moments to live and imagining what it is going to feel like to be blown up. Seconds crawl like hours. Police evacuate the block while the bomb squad surrounds the bank in blast shields and sends in an armored retrieval team. I have never felt more relief than in the moments that bomb was defused and I was escorted out of the bank. I had survived that wretched night. I was alive, and I promised myself I would never take it for granted again. I switched to breaststroke, my new mantra. Pull, kick, glide, breathe. I swim to remind myself to meditate and regulate my traumatized nervous system. I swim to connect with my intentions, fierce compassion, unalterable serenity, and wisdom. Even though I have surmounted incredible challenges, it's easy to ignore or even forget my successes and focus on my perceived failures, asphyxiating myself in shame. My traumatized brain pushes me relentlessly. CPTSD shows no mercy, so I must vigilantly counteract it. The bank event struck like lightning 8 years ago. Surviving that violent invasion upon my most intimate sense of security jolted me into perpetual intentional action. It catalyzed my transition to male and reinvigorated my academic pursuits. But I wasn't successful overnight. It took trial and error to develop a solid mindfulness practice and a toolkit for combating my CPTSD. Part of mindfulness is knowing and accepting that it is not always, if ever, possible or practical to spend hours a day on focused meditations. Rather, mindfulness is the art of understanding how to harmonize wellness principles with everyday living. This is the heart of Buddhist philosophy. Most people could maintain serenity upon a peaceful mountain, but it takes a true master to maintain serenity in modern reality. Alas, I am no master. Law school is just one more part of the never-ending process of becoming my authentic self, no different than processing my trauma or transitioning. I've learned that this is my lifelong challenge, to adapt and cultivate equanimity in the chaos. I am committed to constantly learning, adapting, and improving. Thus, I keep swimming.
Thank you, Professor Salman. And then last, we have Professor Williams reading from Michelle's piece.
Thanks. I echo Professor Salman's message that this is an excerpt, and I hope that in cutting it that I have preserved what Michelle would like. In the summer, I turned 5. My foster mother dressed me in a pink taffeta dress. The stiff ruffled neckline scratched my neck. New pink socks with lace and a pair of borrowed black patent shoes, 2 sizes too big, adorned my feet. The reflection in the mirror seemed like another little girl. She drove me to a building surrounded by many steps, a concrete moat. A rare smile trespassed my foster mother's face. Today you are a hero. What you will say will save other little girls. Tell the truth and they will lock up your dad and throw away the key. Behind the doors, I did not find a castle. We entered a large room with benches and a strange wooden throne. Confused, I did not know if the room was a church or a throne room. My foster mother placed my left hand on the Bible. Another strange man asked, "Do you swear to tell the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?" I sat inside a wooden box beneath a robed man. My line of sight rested on danger. My father sat before me. His 6'5" frame was rigid as he shook his head no. I was warned and instructed not to speak. His rage seemed to move across the space between us, and I was afraid. The lawyer asked about what my father had done to me. My father glared and continued to shake his head no. Even though I sat in silence, my father stood and yelled, "She's a liar. You can't believe anything that slut says. She's just like her whore mother." Under the chair, I hid. The judge dismissed me. My performance was not satisfactory. I ran, but my foster mother grabbed my shoulder outside the courthouse and she slapped my face. "Now look what you've done. Are you proud of yourself? Well, you shouldn't be. Think of all the little girls your father will hurt, and it's all because of you. You are a selfish girl indeed." The slap stung less than the words. My foster mother may have delivered the physical blow, but the act reiterated the justice system's sentiment. Despite the rape kit evidence in the previous CPS interviews, my father was deemed innocent. The judge concluded that only my father's friend raped me because no father could commit such a heinous act against a daughter. He was wrong. And his ruling helped lay a foundation for my father and grandparents to regain custody of my brother and me. My dad drove us to Oregon to live at our grandparents' home, where the abuses, the daily rapes, the beatings commenced as if 3 years hadn't passed. As the patriarch of our incestuous family, my grandfather had first pick of his victim. When a conflict arose regarding who owned me, my grandfather kicked my father out of the house. When I was 14, for the second time, I testified before the court. This time, the abuser charged was my grandfather. On the day I testified before the grand jury, I dressed in Levi button-fly jeans, a long magenta sleeve blouse, and knockoff Keds tennis shoes. At 14, clothing affiliated me with my peers. It was my sense of belonging. My eyeshadow was blue, my eyelashes covered in black mascara, my lips lined in glossy pink, and my hair curled. Detailed preparation to convince myself not to be afraid. Today is just like any other day. Foster mother number 3 flung open the bedroom door. In her hand, she held a horrid floral dress on a hanger. "You look like a slut. Go wash that makeup off. Today you must look like a perfectly innocent angel. This dress should do the trick." I protested. "This outfit is nice. See, no skin is showing. This is how the other girls my age dress. It's genuine and I'm authentic." She shook her head. "Nope, won't do." Washing my face, changing into the outfit was decimation. A new pair of white lace bobby socks adorned my feet, a reminder of the past. Black patent Mary Janes pinched my toes. Like my truncated voice, the shoes were 2 sizes too small. The stiff collar of the unbuttoned dress indented my neck like a noose, a reminder to keep my voice constrained. The judicial system was much the same. To tell the truth meant a slanted presentation that adheres to the court's protocols. Again, to attain assistance and protection from the court, I had to be the perfect victim worthy of protection. Through practice and coaching from my attorney, her advocacy, her voice substituting my own, the court responded with defense. My grandfather accepted a plea bargain. For 7 years of daily rapes, he received 6 months in county jail. Laws had been vital to my survival. Adherence, discipline, and obedience were my tools to maintain compliance within a system that did not see me. My dedication and questioning of these systems are how I dealt with powerful entities. My safety depended on adherence to every rule. Today, my voice is a form of defiance. Silence may be used when needed for survival, but it does not facilitate change. Vulnerable people need the system's protection, and survivors should not be required to conform to societal notions of victimhood. Being told how to dress, act, feel, or express emotions furthered that trauma.
Thank you, Professor Williams. Again, as I hear these, having read them, it amazes me what amazing students we have, that you've gone through this, and now I'm going to try to say this all without crying, that you are all going to go and change the world. And that makes me love my job and feel so fortunate to be where I'm at, and so excited to see you move through these experiences and to do amazing things. I love seeing what our students do, and I am confident that each one of you will do amazing things. As always, it was really tough. The judges struggled to find a winner, and I'm always, as the ordering comes through, I'm always kind of curious to see how it ends up. And so you all are one in this respect, both through your personal triumph through difficult circumstances and your development, but as amazing writers expressing these tremendous experiences. I'm going to list the order starting with honorable mention. And we normally do certificates. You will get a certificate at some point when we can all sign them and get them to you safely. So we just didn't have a chance to do it before the ceremony, but know that there are certificates and dollars, which maybe are more exciting than certificates, coming your way. And I will follow up with an email about all of that. So please join me in congratulating, for honorable mention, a $750 award goes to 2L Daniel Bowman for his essay on dealing with uncertainty. Just so fitting in today's society. Congratulations, Daniel.
Thank you, Professor. Thank you to Marcia Grand as well. It's really an honor to receive.
Yes, we are so grateful to Mrs. Grand and her continued support. We we're going to send her this recording. We'd hope she'd be able to join us, but we're so grateful for her support. Third place, $1,000 award goes to LLM student Susan Feilin for her essay on healing from personal trauma. Congratulations, Susan.
Thank you very much. I'm very honored and very grateful. And if I can just take a minute, my parents are here, my sisters are here, my child is here, one of them, one of two, my partner is here, and my friends are here, and colleagues are here. So I'm very grateful, and thank you very much, Mrs. Grand, and thank you to Attorney Grand for setting the example with your life and this competition.
I had fun. Susan and I haven't, because she's been an online student, we've never met. I haven't met Michelle either because she's a 1L, but we had a good time chatting a while back and found out we're both adoptive moms, which is kind of a fun thing. All right, second place, a $1,500 award. It goes to 1L Michelle Pennington for her personal essay on her experiences with the judicial system as a foster child. Congratulations, Michelle.
Thank you. I just also want to thank everyone for the opportunity to have something different in law school. And this was a really helpful experience to just reaffirm why I was going to law school during the first term of law school, which felt really, really difficult. So thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. Michelle and I share a connection of both and being from Oregon. And Michelle, my husband actually works in the Attorney General's office on cases of kids in foster care. And so there's always need for more attorneys working in that field. All right, so that means our winner, first place, a $2,500 award goes to 3L Garrick Nowak for his essay about overcoming the trauma of his kidnapping. Congratulations, Garrick.
Thank you. I don't know. I don't really know what to say except that I'm exceptionally grateful to everyone at the law school and Mrs. Grand for keeping the competition going. I think it's really important to have an opportunity to reflect, as the others were saying, on past experiences and bringing that into how you navigate law school. And then I also wanted to thank the other writers because I know it's not easy to show up. It's not easy to be vulnerable and to be brave and to have the courage that it took, I know, for each one of us to write what we wrote and to put it out there for other people to judge. So I'm very grateful for that. And thank you, everybody that's here. I have family and friends here too, so thank you for showing up.
All right, thank you, and congratulations to all of you. Again, I'm glad we picked this topic, even though it was so hard, but it made me understand so much more about you as students. And now I know Dean Miller always likes to give some closing words before we part ways. Normally we take lots of fun pictures, but when we're able to do some screenshots or something like that. So Dean Miller.
Thank you, Tessa. I think so much has been said, and I can't say any of it better than all of you have. This writing competition has for years been a window into the depth and complexity and nuance that makes up our community. And obviously, as others have noted, and as you each noted, a lot of pain and struggle in these essays and in the lives that you've described. But we've also seen over the years, not in contrast, but that writing, and Michelle, I think you made this point a little bit, that a different kind of writing reminds us part of why we come to law, being lawyers, just being students, being part of a community. It's served over the years as a wonderful invitation to reflect and build deeper community. Now, it's been hard to build that community, and Susan, you're not the only person at a distance, and part of what we're learning is how to make sure we build that community with people wherever they are. And so that's just part of our, not just COVID, but our times, and as we reach out to wonderful students and teachers and colleagues and alums everywhere. For each of you in varying degrees, this wasn't the experience you hoped for or expected. And Michelle, among you, knew most what was likely for this year. At the same time, as a 1L, she hasn't had the opportunity yet, and she and I have talked a little bit about this, to get to know her classmates and everyone else. Part of the joy of being in a small law school and being here and being in a place where the word family is often used and not casually, is getting to know each other. So I just want to extend my thanks to each of you who wrote, the others who participated. The essays were very powerful, and the word authentic was used in part, and thank you for letting me be a part of that. And to Diana and Sylvia, to Susie and Carolyn for the beautiful reading, to all the judges involved. This is just a very, every year, and again this year very powerfully, a memorable and important part of our community. I know Marcia Grand will watch this and enjoy it. Richard Grand was someone who loved words and cared a great deal about communicating, and it is a deep honor and respect for him and his career, for you to put in the time and for us to continue to celebrate these profound windows into people and their souls. So just thank you to everyone, Tessa and everyone involved with organizing this. It's these are hard times, but this is a good reminder of working through hard times and getting to other places, a point all of you made in your own way. Thanks.
Thank you, Dean Miller. And thank you all. And we do look forward to doing this in person, probably next year, with extra good food for all the money we saved this year and not buying food. Professor Salman, who controls our budget, is shaking her head no. So maybe it won't be. Maybe it'll be Tucson tamales instead of Costa Vida. But thank you. And I hope it's fun when we have repeat winners. So we'll have to think of a fun, new, different creative theme for next year that you can all write on. But just hope that you stay safe, and for Susan, that you stay warm, since you're up in the frozen north. It's, I think, going to be 80 degrees here today or something like that. I'll probably have to wear a sweater. But we hope to see you all on campus sometime soon. And winners, I'll be reaching out to you via email soon. So congratulations, have a great day, and thank you all for writing.